and then fill in with DPS. Now, I know some people like Wish and Callie and stuff use more of the um, support type builds on their Scourges, or, you know, somebody is a really squishy class like a DPS NG, I make sure they have good support. So I would put like a DPS NG that's running Scholar or like a Renegade. Um, I would put them with a heal, a Firebrand, and a support, like either a support Chrono Spellbreaker or a Scourge. And then just kind of fill in as you go. Try to make each party not have, like a heal, a stab, and 3 scourges, but sometimes you have to have multiples of the same in the same party because that's what we have. It's just been I got thrown into doing parties one day and I've just ever done it ever since. So I just kind of rolled with the punches, learned as I went along. Like there's other so if you have a herald and you have a DH, you want to put them together in a party, but not with the Tempest because it's the might. So the might will stack from the herald to the DH, but if you have a Tempest in there, also they give might. So you're wasting might because it only stacks to 25. So you could either do like a herald and a DH and a Tempest, or a herald, a DH, or not a Tempest, a druid or a scrapper, or a DH and a Tempest, some combination of those so that you don't overstack boons and they get wasted. That's one of the only ones that I really pay attention to. Um, Try not to put, a bunch like a Spellbreaker and a Berserker in the same party. There's other little things that I just don't do, and that's because I've been told they're wrong or they should be done this way along the way, but I've never investigated on if what I was told was correct. You'll run into, people that run these weird builds that don't match with anything, and you just have to put them somewhere sometimes, and then you find out that they're what they're get the boons, etc., that they're sharing is not best for the party that they're in, and then you just have to move them around. Let's see what else. So then you get into, okay, Tempest is actually really good DPS, but it's yeah. I think it's better now. Is it Dagger Tempest that does really well, that has like, yeah, it's a healer, but a Dagger Tempest can be really good for range, right? Because it's Dagger and then stab. I don't know. I don't play Tempest. And we get thieves, and we get, that aren't Zerg necessary builds. So in the point where once I get parties and then I have the classes that don't necessarily fit the bill of a Zerg. So I still try to give them a party. But if there's like a thief or, something that has more sustainability for themselves and can survive better outside of the group, which Spellbreaker, Thieves, Rangers, but Rangers give stabs with if they're running Soul Beast. So it's kind of, you know, if and when you need something. Yeah. Yeah. And that's what you just got here, Cuddles. I talked about how, I just ask. I just ask what they're doing tonight. Are you DPS or are you heals or what are you doing? Other than that, I mean, it's just stab, heals, DPS, and if you have like an extra support, like a support Chrono or support Scourge, you don't put 2 or 3 of those in the same party. If you do this quite often and you know certain people only play this specific class, then you don't have to ask them as much, and that makes it easier. Could, yeah. But then trying to, yeah, it could get messy depending. I try to just ask specific people. The other one would be another DPS, most likely. Or 3 DPS if you don't have a support, like a support Chrono or a support Scourge or Spellbreaker. Um, I forgot. Hold on. I bought coffee. I haven't drank it. Yeah, Tempest. Okay, so then yes, healers: Vendi, Scrapper, Druid, and Tempest. There are some other classes that have been tried out. I don't necessarily think they work super well, and that's why they don't continue. Is like, I think there was a thief build. I'm pretty sure it was like a heal thief or something.
Heal
And
Spectre that Owen
Spectre.
ran. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Really good
And
burst heal, but no cleanse. So you would
okay,
need to supplement the cleanse.
right. So, but if people say I'm healing tonight, and that's, you have to take them at their word, unless you go into a couple fights and you notice that is not what's happening, then you have to adjust. Yes. Meta class is the 4, yes. Right, like you.
But do you use Arc
Go ahead.
DPS to determine if they're a healer?
Nah,
Like they say, I'm a healer, and then how can you tell that they're not very effective or something?
if their party dies in the first push.
Yeah, I guess that's a pretty good indicator.
I run Arc DPS, but when I'm doing LT and healing and keeping track of everything, I never look at it. It's there.
And I notice sometimes that you give participation to the people that die.
Yeah, sometimes if they're like, we're in like Bay
Garrison.
or Gary, and it's a long run
Enemy
back, and they
Garrison.
can't get in, I give them participation. So for the actual outgoing healing, but you can look at cleanses, and that will give you some idea. But like Sita and Cuddles, they run complementary classes. One is cleanses and one is heals, and they run together. It's 2 supports together that make
A regular healer.
Yeah. So if you have a couple, or people that play together that want to do stuff like that, then you also have to take that into consideration when you're making parties. It's a lot of guesswork until you do it a while, and then you're like, okay, I know this, and then you don't ask about it anymore.
I also try to be considerate and not throw you fucking curveballs where, like, I'll play Tempest, but now I'm a DPS. Now I'm heal.
I appreciate that.
Mhm.
As I have done parties for so long, but as I've now started playing a heal class, it's kind of struggle bus some nights for healing and doing parties and all the other, things that I get. I don't think Heal Chrono is as effective in World v World as PvE. It's not terrible, I don't think, but it's not terrific.
Like I was saying in chat, Chrono is a jack of all trades. It does literally a little bit of everything, but it's not great at one particular thing. But it's supplemental. It really helps groups, just adding that little bit extra. Whether it's boon buffering, whether it's stability, whether it's healing, whether it's strips. It does a little bit of everything.
Okay, so yeah, so that's where you get into DPS versus heals versus support. So you definitely need a heals and a stab. That's no two. You can't do anything without that. Stab. So heals. We kind of discussed who does heals best. I guess meta. Stab. Firebrand, of course, is top. Chrono has stab mantra.
Stab mantra is not that great. It's really from
It's-
distortion.
But it's
It's an
better
off
than
stability
nothing.
provider. Yes.
Yeah, it's better than nothing. If you're in a pinch and you have no firebrand, or there's a 20Q and you can't get anybody in, it's gonna give you something.
Yeah, support Chrono is like half of
Yeah.
a healer, half of a firebrand.
I wouldn't even
Yeah.
say half of a firebrand.
Third?
Okay.
Quarter? I don't know. But so you have Chrono, you have
2/3, maybe. 1/3. 1/3. 1/3.
why is my brain is not working? What am I thinking? The roads. Who throws the road?
Jealous. Anything
Jealous.
red.
Renegade?
Rev, right? Rev. Also Spellbreaker can give some. Again, it's not as good as a firebrand.
Stability
Better
is
than
like,
nothing.
yeah. Spellbreaker, support Spellbreaker always carries banner of tactics.
Yeah. So if you're in a pinch, so you don't have a firebrand, and let's say you have a Rev and a Chrono, I would try to take those two and put them together to hopefully give enough stab to the party that's lacking. Again, it's not perfect. Nothing's perfect. And if anybody gives you any shit about saying, oh, I don't have this or I don't have that or my party, da 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 da, you can only do the best you can with what you have. Period. And, I've told people, I'm doing what I can. Sorry it's not perfect. I'm trying to make your gameplay as, most fun for you as I can. And please show me some grace in the fact that I have no control over this right now. Also, if anybody gives you shit and you're doing parties, tell me and I'll tell them if you don't want to. I don't have a problem with that. I'm nice, but I can be not nice.
Mom, this guy's bullying me.
I know, Mom.
You know? Wow.
Nah, I mean you are the boss.
I think Cuddles makes the most requests.
He's up there. But there's other people.
My requests, though, are strategic.
For the most part, yes.
Are you considering my requests such as like a drink? You're not pulling that in there, right?
Yes, definitely. No, I'm not. But nobody should make the fact, nobody should make you feel like you're not doing a good job when you're doing the best job you can to help them have a better gameplay. Don't allow it. Or if you have a problem saying anything to them about it, then tell me and I'll say it. We're all here to play a game. We're all here to have fun. Somebody has to do the not so fun part, because making parties are not fun. Trust me. But somebody has to do it. So since I don't tag, I take that responsibility. But I'm not going to let anybody make me feel like I'm not doing a good job. If they have to, criticisms, or they want to say something, or they, you think I'm not doing this right, tell me respectfully. And I'm very, very open to that. If you come up to me and are a douche, you're not going to like me.
I threw in chat real quick if you are lacking a firebrand and you are trying to run stab chrono. This is how I was giving stab last night to Dav since we didn't have a firebrand in the second squad. It
Is that
runs
somewhere-
about 40 seconds worth of stab.
Is that somewhere on Discord? Because I'm building a chrono and I would like to keep that. Except from the
My
screenshot.
exact Mesmer
I
build
just
is in the Mesmer channel, and all I'm doing is swapping out. Like typically, for Well of Precognition, I swap it out for Veil, Nullfield, kind of whatever I need. But now Signet of Illusions is basically mandatory on my bar. Same thing with Stab Mantra. I just always keep it.
Okay.
They can, but they have to. They have to have it. They can. Some builds like DH, like Nightmare runs DH a lot. He puts his big stab on and gives up some DPS for that, just to help out in like some of these harder fights, especially what we're going to be up against this week with Gem and stuff.
Does the question, can all Firebrand or all Guardian?
I mean, you most of them can give stuff, but I think if I'm not wrong, like half of your stuff come from your skills, and the other one comes from your passives. That the one that you choose from your skill tree.
So the strongest Firebrand stab is Stand Your Ground, which is base Guardian skill. And then the other stability sources is from a Firebrand specific elite. That has 3 charges. And then the next one is also a Firebrand specific book 3. So if you were only base Guardian or any other Guardian specialization, you would not get the Firebrand. That there's 2 sources of stability from Firebrand that no other specialization would get.
You're forgetting Hologram, which is
Oh,
base guard.
right. Hollow Ground is base guard. Hollow Ground is like the last thing most people pop because 1, it has a channel time, and 2, it pulses, so it kind of gets
Isn't-
easily overwritten and corrupted and
In
stripped.
the Guardian channel, Anton wrote a pretty decent guide, like really fast guide, that gives you an idea of how to actually use the skills.
Isn't
Yeah, it's
ground what he calls like when we're on bridges and stuff? I don't know.
Whenever you're
Yeah.
stationary,
Station.
would
3
say
Yeah.
seconds or more.
Okay.
what I do to cast it faster is I do book 1 and then I do the skill because it has a time to cast it. But if you use book
Actually,
1, you
Hollow
get
Ground
1
is
second.
better.
Yeah.
Hollow Ground is better on reset night than Stand Your Ground from my experience, just because when there's a channel time, if it starts channeling, it will probably go out. Stand Your Ground is instacast, and when there's a lot of lag, it's variable on when it would actually go out.
I'm going to post
Yeah,
2
it's
different
horrible.
builds here. First one is for Minstrel. Second one is for Celestial. The difference between running Minstrel and Celestial, obviously Minstrel will give you way more healing power and overall toughness, which would make you tankier. Celestial and Minstrel are going to have roughly about the same amount of concentration, so give you roughly same amount of boon duration. It just changes how you play it, and you also have to be cognizant of you are dropping healing power, you're dropping I was going to say valor. You're dropping honor, and you're also dropping your overall toughness. So it's also a play style change. But from your weapon skills aren't providing more stability, which is why Celestial is picking up in popularity, because you're not really dropping that much unless you are losing that last in Virtues line, the very last Grandmaster trait, which is 8 seconds of 3 stacks of stability.
The only difference from the build you share from Mistral is that I pick all the pages because I feel like it's more forgiving for when we are moving forward and backward. I don't know. I use
You were just making the
my books a
comment
lot.
around needing quickness. That's another source of quickness for you and your entire group.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't use it that much. Quickness, I just use that specific to cast the Hollow Ground. But for the rest of them, I use a lot the books, like all the time.
Yeah, I wouldn't sit and camp in book.
Okie doke. Well, we only have a little bit of time, so you guys can hit up Deads or somebody for Firebrand training. But to answer, yes, firebrands can give stab. They have to be traded for it, and again, that's where you're going to just ask.
Yeah, anybody that plays Firebrand is going to tell you need to run the first 2 middle lines to maximize your quickness, not the extra pages. Extra pages are kind of a crutch. Like, it's good to learn from it and get used to it, but for overall playstyle, you probably want to go ahead and start learning how to play without it.
I know it feels like a lot of responsibility to be somebody's firebrand, but honestly, even a person learning firebrand is probably better than no firebrand at all.
Yep. Exactly. So that's what parties boil down to. You do the best you can with what you have. So if you have firebrands, great. If you have a actual, like a burn brand that is running at least a single stab or something, or chrono or spellbreaker or anything that can give some stab to a party when you're desperate, utilize them. Just let them know that that's what they're doing. Like Dav will do it. He'll be like, I can, pseudo firebrand. Cuddles will. And try to put a couple of them in a party that's lacking if you can. Same with heals. If you're running low on heals, I try to put either the tankier or the more self-sustained type classes in the party that doesn't have a healer. The ones with lots of get out of dodges, or just self-sustain in general, they are able to take a little bit more than your squishier classes.
And if I would make a suggestion, and if you guys don't know, if y'all want to get into support and you don't really know what to play, I would suggest considering Mesmer. Chronomancer is actually a lot easier than people give it credit for. The hardest thing is knowing how to do continuum split, and you just practice it for 5 minutes and you'll get it pretty quickly.
Yeah, I think Spellbreaker is probably as easy or easier. That's what I started
Spellbreaker
with
has
Spellbreaker.
so much
Spellbreaker,
HP.
Spellbreaker, it really depends on what you refer to, like DPS, Selly, or Minstrel.
That is true. But it's
I guess
generally tankier.
support Spellbreaker.
Support, like full heal. That's
Mhm.
what Sita runs. I don't know if I posted that build or not in the Warrior channel, but
It could take a lot more hits than your other
There is
classes.
also now our beautiful new forums that Andrix made for BGC. There is a builds forum channel that you can tag what the build is for, like put it as a heal, and then it separates it so you don't have to go through every channel and look at 80 builds to find the one that you want. So if you want to share it with the BGC, then you can. If you want to keep it more TM, but a lot of people can see TM, so I don't know if that's any different, really.
I did
But you can put it in
actually.
there.
I did post the
Did you? Okay.
Spellbreaker full heal build. Really cool thing most people don't really look at, and I looked through Arc DPS, and this is when I made change my mind. But I run double nullification on that build, and you get a lot of mileage out of strips. If you're wanting to run strips, go Spellbreaker, and you run double nullification, because anytime you ever like flank on a 5-second cooldown, you will strip a boon on one target, and then it'll strip 5 more boons around the targets around the initial target. So if you're wanting to go a Spellbreaker, regardless what build you run, I would definitely run double null. Whereas the SB heal build posted, it is in the TM Discord under builds under warrior, and if you go to May 8th, you'll see my char, a couple of screenshots around the build, the stats, and all the utilities, infusions, etc.
And if you don't have permissions to see the stuff and you guys run with us, let me know. I can give you permissions.
And this is if you like staff. If you want to focus more on immobilize and CC, you can run Celestial. You swap out the heal trait for the immobilize trait whenever you cripple. And you can just build, instead of healing infusions, you would go expertise infusions to maximize the overall immobilize duration. That is the old variant of the build. You can make it work. I mean, it really depends if you're trying to maximize your healing or if maximizing your immobilize. You have to pick one. And as far as difficulty and ease of access, I believe that build is extremely tanky and easy to play. Just because anytime you give might, you give yourself a huge amount of healing. But that goes back to what Mom was saying earlier about complementary builds. And Sita and I run that particular build because I'll run my heal chrono, which has a decent amount of cleanse but less healing, and she'll run that build with more healing and less cleanse, which is the logic behind it.
Okay, so I've gone over the basics. So then you also have support Scourge, which gives barrier. I know Wish runs it, Callie runs it. I think Nara does sometimes, but you can always ask. So I wouldn't put like Callie and Wish in the same party because then you have a stab, a heal, a support, a support. I mean, that's overkill. You want to try to spread out what you have between the parties.
And TM in general, is Scourge support or DPS?
In general, it's DPS. There are a couple that still run the support. I was running that before. I played the support. But I think that's kind of the barrier got nerfed. I don't think it got nerfed terribly. I think it's still viable. I think it's still actually really, it's excellent when it as a healer now. Having somebody that gets barrier, even if it's not as much as it was before, is still helps you heal better so people can stay alive. We do sometimes lack on strips. So that's Scourges, Chronos, Reapers, Spellbreakers.
Spellbreaker.
Yeah. But again, since we don't require a meta class, we're going to probably not be as competitive as other. But we're not competitive. We go out, we kill people, we have fun, whatever. That's what this is a game to have fun.
It generally works.
Yes, generally works. So basics of the party: heal, firebrand, support if you have it, DPS, fill-ins. Try to do your best to give a couple supports in a party that's lacking, maybe something else like a firebrand or a healer. Ask people. Always just keep asking. Like, you'll see me spam over and over, we need something, we need something, we need something. Deads will step in and say, hey, we need this. Generally, somebody's going to change. Once in a while, you can't if they're like reset night or there's a huge queue and we're on ABG for once or whatever. Not that was a problem this last week, but just always do the best you can and don't let people make you feel like you're not doing that. I want to reiterate that. Nobody should make you feel like you're not doing a good job. I'm always here.
Often?
Huh?
I mean, you do parties all the time,
No.
but does it happen often?
Not to me. I mean, I've had a couple people say, oh, hey, you're doing this wrong. I'm like, would you like to do it? I'm doing the best I can. And usually they don't say anything else. But, I'm a little more forceful and I don't take shit from people. So, and not everybody's like that. But I'm willing to help. I'm almost always at every run. So if you're struggling or having problems or somebody's giving you shit, myself or Deads or anybody is gonna any of the leaders are gonna step in and stick up for you. Doing parties is not an easy job. It's not the fun part of a run, but somebody has to do it to make everybody's gameplay better.
And you mentioned one that it's not good to have two people doing parties, right? That it's better to just have one.
In general, yes. If somebody knows, if like let's say myself and Phoenix were doing parties, it can get messy, or like I'll sit there and think that he's doing it and he'll think I'm doing it. Nobody will do it. I feel it's just better to have one person do it, or maybe switch off halfway through, or if you want to share or something like that would be effective. But I don't think that 2 or 3 people having their hands in the pot at the same time is necessarily the best thing. People from the guilds or randoms. No, it was people from the guild. It's only happened like 2 times. It doesn't happen anymore. Randoms, I don't even pay attention to them. So, I mean, like if they say something to me, I just ignore them if it's not constructive or, not nice. And you kind of have to have a thick skin and not take what they're saying personally. Oh, he's asking about warrior. I don't know that part, so I will just ignore that right now.
You destroy projectile, you don't reflect projectile. It destroys it, not blocks it. Answer is no.
Yes. I mean, that part, yes. I don't think having two LTs doing parties is effective. Having one LT do parties and have one LT do anything else that the commander needs you to do, that works. Like when I'm doing parties and people aren't on tag and I have 10 people whispering me and I'm trying to heal people and I don't have time to do everything. So
then
yes,
a team comes in. And she starts saying, everybody gets on tag. A team comes in.
Yeah, Athene does. A lot. Get on tag, people. But anybody can say that. It doesn't. You don't even have to be an LT to say that. If you see people screwing off and not being on tag, and we're struggling because we don't have enough people, we need those people that are not on tag to be with us. We need our group together. That's the whole point of running together. If somebody comes in and says, "Hey, I want to scout," I'm not going to include them as a person in the. I mean, they're in the squad, but they're not with the squad. If you have people, especially support of any kind, going off and scouting and, whatever, off at some other camp somewhere or something, if you're going to take on the support role, you need to be where you're supporting your party. And
Now, the rest of your party squirreled.
Well, yes, but they shouldn't be. But yes, okay, yes, there's always, whatever, caveats to everything. But
it generally doesn't happen.
No.
But when it does, it's hilarious. That one time when we put Owen, Cuddles, and all the rest of them squirrelers in a one party.
Yep.
They somehow converged into one spot off tag.
We call that a single brain cell.
So, okay, so you're going to come in, you're going to get LT, you'll see you have a broadcast to squad. I don't know if all of you have ever had that LT before. This is when I say need a firebrand, whatever, that. Then, so you're going to come in, you're going to say, oh, hey, firebrand, firebrand, firebrand. We'll just pretend healer. And then, okay, so he's a chrono. Let's say he's wearing power food. Okay, so he's not any support, but let's say this is a support scourge, even though he's on Reaper. Then you just move all your people into parties. Like Senekin is a heal Vendi.
Oh yeah, scrappers. Do we have more DPS scrappers or do we have more healing scrappers?
I would say DPS. We have a couple people that play heal scrap, but I think more play DPS. But like last night when we had Val, almost all of their scrappers were healers.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Scrapper heal is really good right now. I never felt, whenever I played it like the past 2 times since the short bow rework, It's felt really, really good, and it feels like you always have cooldowns and cleanse available.
Same. It's a lot better than it was.
Yeah, it's a very, very clean class. Highly recommend.
Highly.
So, I mean, that's the basics. And the commander, myself, anybody is going to support you and help you. So, I keep saying it, you do the best you can. And that's all we ask. It's not like you need to be perfect, and if somebody leaves and you don't move somebody in the 3 seconds before you get into a fight that somebody's going to be mad about. Well, somebody might be, but that you need to worry about is going to be mad about it. It's not that. Put the parties together, adjust as needed. I try to adjust during a fight. Sometimes I do, and sometimes I'm not able to.
Here's a question.
Mhm.
When you have to do as a LT, do you ever view from party view, especially if, like anything like firebrand, stability, source, whatever?
No, you can't.
Yeah, you
So,
just
like,
toggle back and forth unless you're just
I don't even
laser
toggle.
focused on your own stability source.
Yeah, I just focus. I just make sure my party is not dying. I don't run party view except for when I don't LT, which is when Zuva does it now, Monday and Tuesday. Because you
Yeah,
have to be watching the squad. I mean,
Yeah,
you
I'm
have
watching the party too. I
I
should
didn't think about till just now.
go back and forward. Yeah.
Yeah,
and that's why. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to add that the once or twice that I've done LT, I found it a lot easier to do it as a DPS player than I did as a healer. Because healer, you have to watch your party, but DPS, you're not
Yeah.
as concerned.
Yeah.
Only caveat to that though is you are squishy, and if you need to move someone last second, you're just gonna someone's gonna breathe on you, and you're just gonna. "Ugh."
True.
Or
Totally
you're
true.
doing parties because you died.
When I played Necro, Scourge or Reaper or whatever, and I died, it was usually when I was doing parties. Most of the time.
Oh, I was gonna say like doing parties after you died, but
Oh, yeah, you can.
You can. But I could totally see that, doing parties. And, oh, I'm dead. Let me just keep
Yep.
doing parties.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm gonna try to write it down on everything. I'll make up a little list of everything that I do and that is asked of LT/party making. Post it in Discord somewhere in the next week or two. But I'm always, if you want to do more in-depth or you have questions, we can go over some now, or you can ask them privately, or I can do like just a sit down with you and we can go over it. You can say, hey, I want to try it, and I can just support you. Whatever. However, anybody wants to do it, I'm more than happy to help. So,
Spellbreaker would probably be amazing as an LT character starting out. You don't have to worry about cleanses, you don't have to worry about stability.
does anybody have any questions? No?
I can ask you a question.
Okay.
At the last LT training, they didn't talk about the participation, so I discovered that while I was doing LT. So could you please talk about the reason?
Yep.
Because it's limited, so it's good to know when you need to give it.
Okay, so participation, you right click on somebody, you give share squad participation.
also you could take it off yourself if you have participation on you, so you don't have to ask the lieutenant to take it off.
Correct. I give it, like we touched on it briefly. When, like, let's say we're in the enemy garrison and all the walls are closed and somebody dies, and I see that they're not going to be able to get back in, and we're going to be there forever fighting because we're farming or whatever, I will try to get I will give them participation if I can. Now, you can, for every full party of 5, you can give one person participation. So there is a limit of 10 because you can't have more than 10 parties. Also, if somebody's stuck on another map and waiting to, they're in queue, I give participation. If they're scouting, and they said that's what I want to do today, they want to scout, or they're on a chrono and they're sitting inside, the Gary waiting to port us in, I'll give them participation. Or, whatever. If somebody can't be with the group for a good reason, then I give them participation. If they're fucking around and squirreling, probably not. But you can give up to 10 people participation. So if you want to give people it, you can. There's not anything saying, and it doesn't take away from
People
anybody. It
generally
doesn't do
ask.
anything. Yeah, they
Yeah.
do.
Like if you need to step away from a bathroom break, a lot of people just, walk away and not ask for participation and just come back.
Yeah, or they'll be like, I'm going to be gone 15 minutes or so. Can I have participation? Sure. Yes, if we don't have enough, like where I don't remember, it was reset or something where we had like 15 people that got queued out. The people that were closest to getting in didn't get their participation. The people that were waiting the longest got it. How to make squad markers? I don't have mine bound. I know some people have theirs bound to certain keys, but it's Alt Shift and then numbers. 2 is circle, 3 is heart, 7 is triangle, 8 is the X, and I don't know the other ones.
Yeah, you can go through your hotkeys and go through those options.
Yeah, options.
Because there's going to be the markers for individual characters, and there's also going to be the markers placed on the ground. I mean,
yeah, so
really
I don't
all
place
you're
them on the
gonna do is
ground.
just
I
place
only place them on people, so mine's Alt Shift, whatever number.
How often do you have to place markers as a lieutenant?
On the commander mostly.
Just the
On the
commander for
commander
the circle.
mostly.
Or for
Phoenix does
calling
his own.
out Dragon Banner.
Yeah, and Dragon Banner, that's pretty much it. Sometimes I'll put it on a Lord, like if it's down and we want to make sure we know where it's at so it doesn't get rezzed. What else? Anything else?
How often do you have to buy pizza for the group?
Never.
Damn it. But those was going to be covered territory.
I think one are people target and one are ground target. Or object or people, I guess. No other questions?
When you see a catalyst, where do you put them?
In a party. In the garbage? I don't know what you're looking for.
That was awesome.
Sorry, that was a trick question, but it can't have a funny result.
Okay.
It's not like we've never seen Catalyst.
Not very often. Not in World v World. I think they're good in PvE and other things.
Some of us been trying to play with support catalysts recently. It's nice.
If you see a class you don't know, you ask.
Yep.
It could be
What do
DPS
you
or
do?
heals. Yeah. Double meteor sounds really nice though. But I've been using it for just double cleansing rain.
All right. So anything else before we can just move up to World v World?
Not from me, thank you, Mom.
Okay. You can always message me. If you have questions.
And if you have build questions, just check the class channels.
Or ask somebody that plays it a lot. You can. Most people are open to helping. Anybody want to try it tonight, or are you guys too overwhelmed?
I'll be watching very closely, but not tonight.
Would you like to try it another night? Maybe like on like a Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday when it's not so
Not-
hectic.
Not Tuesday. That's Sufa's day. Well, I mean, I'm sure.
Oh no,
Sufa would,
that's Zufa.
but
Sorry.
Well, I'm about to step away and clean, but I can, if I come back middle of the run, I just ping you, Mom.
okay.
Because I'm going to need to step away for a bit.
Okay.